Alrighty, so today I want to talk about, what's next when you start to realize what, this narcissistic abuse or emotional trauma that you've suffered, it's happening to you. You're starting to become aware of this, and, what's next? And really, what's next is, it's accepting the cards you've been dealt, what's happened, and moving on from it and growing from it. And so how do you do that? From my experience, and what I did was, the first thing was setting myself free from this emotional, mental abuse that I was experiencing by gaining understanding and learning. And really, I think the answer to a lot of people's problems, whatever they may be, is it's knowledge, it's understanding, it's gaining understanding through learning. And the good thing is we have the faculties to do that. If you've grown up in the West and you've gone through the Western school system, you're well aware of this educational model that you can do. The resources are there. What it really takes is you just wanting to gain understanding and having just a general interest. And it's kind of like little breadcrumbs. You'll just, as you learn more, you'll be led down this trail. And what ends up happening is, as you learn and gain understanding, you can see more clearly of exactly what's happening within society and within people's relationships with one another, and then you can make a choice of how you want to participate in that. How much access you want to give these people to your life. So the first step is accepting what's happening or what has happened, and then moving on from that, pursuing knowledge and understanding what all this means, what's it all for. And then it's really being present with yourself and what you have to avoid. And this is if you really want to move on. And that is a choice that's entirely up to you, because you can easily medicate yourself with distractions, whatever those may be. Because even if you don't drink alcohol or use drugs, you can easily just fall into these dopamine traps where you're just medicating yourself, with, short form content, or, Instagram and YouTube, and if you watch, like pornography, stuff like that, you can easily just distract yourself by those means. And you can just live in the pursuit of escapism from your feelings. And you know what? Honestly, that's okay, because the whole thing is up to you. It's your journey. Whatever you want to do, and however you want to live your life, that's your decision. But if you want to make the decision to, resolve these emotional issues and problems that you're feeling, then you have to decide that, yes, I'm going to do it, and then this is the direction I'm going to go. And that's what I did, because for a long time I just escaped everything for the majority of my life. But ultimately, it's kind of a tortured existence, because you're never really experiencing life in this full sense, because so much about life it's feeling. I mean, that's what makes us so unique, is our feelings and our ability to feel and make decisions and live our lives through our emotions. But I guess that's really the first thing, is making the decision, and then accepting what has happened, choose to move on, pursuing knowledge to gain understanding and have a clear vision, or actually your vision gets more clear. Like mine is, I'm to the point now where, yeah, I can see things better, but I'm still learning. This just continues. And really, the thing is that these problems never really go away. It's just what changes is how you interpret them and how you choose to react to them. Because unfortunately, if you experience this kind of narcissistic abuse when you're a child, your brain is forming and growing, and neurological pathways are developing, and your psyche is trying to make sense of who you are, who other people are, and then what is the world that we're living in. And you do that when you're a kid, and then that develops into your perspective, your view of yourself, other people in the world, and that's hardwired in. So the big thing is understanding what you've experienced, what you've lived through, and what your view of yourself, the world, and other people ultimately is. And then as you navigate through life, it's choosing how you're going to react to that. Because I still have these feelings and these beliefs within me of I'm not good enough, no one's going to like me, no one will love me, stuff like that. And I don't think those will ever go away. But as these feelings come up, and this is part of the process. It's how you react to those feelings. And so that's really the next step, is that after you learn and start to understand this, you then, from this clear mind, this sober mindset, everything's going to start coming up. And, you have to practice observing these feelings and emotions, and then choosing to react to them in a healthy way. Because, escapism would be an example of an unhealthy way to react to these things. So what are some examples of a healthy way to react to these feelings that you're feeling? And this is really the goal with all this. It really depends on what type of person you are. The type of person I am, talking is very helpful. That's why I'm making these videos, because I can express myself through words, and I can conversate with people, and through conversation and talking about my problems and my issues, I can kind of reason through them with people. So I do this with my wife a lot, with my friends. I mean, even with people I meet, if the environment suits it, and we can have a conversation about, I have a lot of anxiety when I first meet people, because I don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think they'll like me. And through just talking about it, you can let go of it, and then you can gain understanding and you get other people's perspective on it too. So that is, that's what I do. Other things are obviously, exercise. That's a really good one. If you can really start channeling a lot of your anxious feelings into kind of physical activities, physical exercise, it's really good for your mind. It's great for your body, and that's a great way to process emotion as it comes up. Anything creative. If everyone is creative, everyone has an imagination, and you kind of have to find your medium that works for you. I do a lot of music. I've learned music over the years. That helps me express myself. I like to do a lot of art, woodworking. I like to make sculptures. I like to paint. I like to write songs and poetry. And through this kind of creative expression, you can then it helps you process these emotions, and it'll give you an outlet if your thing maybe isn't talking to people. So pursuing anything creative will help you process emotion. That's really that's a really good one, because you can do that with yourself. And if you're not a big social person, or if you don't want to deal with other people or share what you're going through, you can do that on your own. The other thing that I feel is the number one most underrated positive thing that really helps human beings is leaving all the man-made things behind and going into nature, going to the forest, going to the coast. You have to immerse yourself in an environment that is free of anything that is man-made. So, that's, you can't see, I think what ends up happening is when you're immersed in nature without any influence from humans, such as like buildings or any kind of gadgets and devices. Obviously, you have your clothes on, you're probably walking on a trail, you have a water bottle, things like that. I think it's okay, but what I've observed, because I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness and in nature, and part of my work is I do forest restoration and land restoration. So I spend a lot of time in the forest, in the woods, on these big pieces of property. And I have learned and observed that the contemplation and reflection that occurs when you're in the forest or sitting by a stream or just in nature is hugely powerful. I think it's the most underrated thing. It's everything in society teaches us to be scared of nature, and I think we need to understand that we are from nature. Ultimately, we are natural, we're organic beings, and so what nature can provide you, I think it's limitless, because it changes your mindset, it changes how you think and how you behave, and I think people need that contemplation and reflection time. And a lot of it is kind of an inner dialogue, as you're experiencing the natural world and you're in the forest and you're walking around, and it's this inner dialogue you have with yourself of trying to gain understanding of what's been happening, or what has happened to you. So that's another great one, is just incorporate that into your routine. If you can get out, even if you live in the city, you can get out into nature. It is possible. It just takes a little bit of time, maybe driving or whatever you got to do, but I think it's well worth it. And incorporating that into your life will help you move past being stuck in that emotional prison. Those are the main things that I do, and really I can only offer you my own perspective, what is working for me, and what I have tried, and ultimately it's your life and it's your decision, and you'll find what works for you. But I think a trial and error approach is worthwhile, and yeah, you just got to try, because it's totally worth it. The value and the quality of life that I have now, it's so deep, and I'm so fortunate that from that terrible position I was in, I was able to, essentially just like kill off that old me and then transform into this new person. And if I can do it, you can do it. It's within our grasp. So, I hope this was helpful, because this is the next, this is the next thing. And you have to be thinking is long term, how am I going to be living my life free from that emotional, psychological abuse that you experienced for so long. Anyway, okay, I'll catch you in the next one.